Alright, what is going on, guys? Got another breakdown for UFC 283. This one's on the prelims at Bantamweight. We got Daniel Marcos making his UFC debut against Simon Oliveira. Marcos going to have about an inch advantage in reach. He is 3 inches taller. But I suppose I will start with Simon Oliveira. This will be his second appearance in the UFC after picking up a split decision win over Jose Alday, who's been around, fought some UFC guys with Combate and LFA. I forget who, but it's a decent win on the Contender series. Most of his wins throughout his career, he has a solid record of 18-4. A lot of guillotines on the Brazilian regional scene and a bunch of other promotions too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy has some BJJ competition credentials as well. So very good jiu-jitsu. Also has a solid Muay Thai background. It shows in his stance. High guard, just marches forward. Good kicking game. I think to his detriment on the feet, look, this guy has like 22 fights. So I haven't watched his entire fight tape, but I've watched maybe 6 or 7 of his fights. And especially recently, he seems to go to the flashy shit on the feet way too much. And that can lead to him getting tired. Just in that fight against Jose Alday, I've never seen somebody throw so many spinning elbows. It literally felt like UFC 4 in there. And yeah, I think that fight was really close. I'm honestly surprised he got a contract. You never know what they're going to do with the contracts. Like, Chris Curtis doesn't get a contract in 2017 for knocking a guy out in the third round. But Simon Oliveira gets a contract for a close decision against Jose Alday. And I mean, good for him. I'm all for guys getting contracts. It's just like, you just never know what they're looking for in the Contender series, it feels like. But I would say that was the right decision. I thought he won. But he made it close. And with the way his stance is, he's definitely vulnerable to body kicks. And he hasn't handled leg kicks too well in the past. That could be an issue in this one for sure. But yeah, so far so good for him for the most part. Not super active. He seems to fight once a year, going back to 2018. But Daniel Marcos took some time off as well. So yeah, there's things to like about both of these guys. And for Daniel Marcos making his UFC debut after a very fun fight, Contender Series banger against Brandon Lewis. It was his first fight since 2019. He was undefeated up until that point, 11-0. Not the best records here, as we can see, but this guy has a lot of power in his hands. He has good kicking game, very good. And he's just one of these guys where he throws everything with intent. He's not loading up necessarily, but everything lands heavy, I should say. And can definitely take a punch too. I saw on his media day he was saying that the time off he thinks definitely benefited him. So he definitely looked really good in that one. And Brandon Lewis was a zombie in that one. Just really took so much damage, but just kept coming. But he just kept putting it on him with everything. Had his front leg basically neutralized, was just chewing it up with calf kicks. Body kicks were heavy when he would go to him. Had a couple nice knees to the body. Kept landing these front kicks to the head too. So again, Brandon Lewis, I don't know how he survived because he hit him with everything. And he also had to take some punches too when he just went zombie mode at the end and he was just crashing forward, throwing some bombs. A couple of them got through, and I just like seeing that. I like to see that Marcos can take a punch. But yeah, kind of like an unproven commodity in my eyes. I mean, I know he has a lot of wins here. He's looked impressive doing it. I really like the power. But I don't think he's ever had to go up against somebody with this level of BJJ. I could be wrong, but that could be a factor. He does seem to have good scrambles on the ground. I've seen him get out of some tough spots. But at the same time, he was giving up his back quite a bit in the Brandon Lewis fight to just try to get up quickly. I think against Simon Oliveira, if he gets into that position, it could be tricky. But at the same time, Oliveira is one of these BJJ guys where he's not very good at getting the takedown. He kind of has to be on the ground to get it. And then even then, it hasn't looked great. Like against Tony Gravely, he had no problem there. I mean, Tony Gravely can get his neck snatched up, and he had a couple good attempts on it early, but he just kept going to it. And that's just the stuff that I don't like from what I've seen with Simon Oliveira's game, if you're going to be putting money on him. And if we look at the line for this one, it surprised me a little bit. I mean, it's getting wider. Simon Oliveira close to a 2-1 favorite at minus 195. and Daniel Marcos coming back at plus 165. I'm going to go with Daniel Marcos at these odds. Just going to take a chance. It's more of a case of I just can't justify Saimon Oliveira at that price. And then just going through the tape, I mean, like I said, he has good sub game. I think if you want to hedge, I think Saimon Oliveira by submission is a solid scenario here. I think it's going to be one either Marcos wins in some way or Oliveira wins by submission. I don't see him winning a decision because he has good striking, but he doesn't set it up very well. And I think he's going to be very vulnerable to these calf kicks and these body kicks. I think it's going to get him tired. If the two go hand in hand, if he tries too much spinning shit and Marcos is landing these body kicks, it's going to be a bad night for Oliveira. And I don't necessarily love his ability to get to the fight to the ground. He's been controlled on the ground before. Like, when he's on his back, he kind of seems to rely on his submissions too much. We'll just get ground and pounded there, or we'll just get controlled. I mean, against Tony Gravely's a good wrestler. Like I said, he can get his neck snatched up. And he did it in this one. Oliveira just kept going to it, and it wasn't wise. Ended up getting controlled. I don't think Marcos is going to want to play around on the ground with him. But if he does, Oliveira has lost fights by being controlled before. Having really good jiu-jitsu doesn't always mean that you're going to make the right decisions to get up. He might just rely on his submissions off his back too much. And, again, it's very live here. He's very live for a submission, but at this price, I'm just going to go with Daniel Marcos. I like what I've seen. I think that his striking can expose some holes in Oliveira's game on the feet, and it all just kind of depends on if Oliveira stays within himself and doesn't do this spinning shit. He'll have a much better chance, but he kind of seems like a showman, so I'm just going to bet on this. Don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I haven't made my bets for this card, but I do like Daniel Marcos. So thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe, and take it easy.